Hello and welcome. I want to thank everyone here for joining me today for ImageSilo 101. My name is Heather Bush. I've been in the the ECM world for about 10 years. My last four have been with VRC. VRC has been a Digitech reseller since 1998. So VRC has a very deep bench when it comes to ImageSilo. And I'm excited to share with you what I know about ImageSilo today. We're going to be doing a feature and functionality tour. I want to encourage you to use the QA. I have an assistant with me today, Mark Stevens, who will be monitoring that and answering your questions. So please, if you have them, put them in the Q&A and let's get you an answer. I also want to mention to you that while I'm going to focus on ImageSilo, Digitech has similar product lines that whether they're cloud-based or on-prem, they work very similar. So this will really, this demo for almost any Digitech thing you have is probably a useful thing. Okay, features and functionality. When the picture that I have up here, I'm showing you the homepage when you sign in. And as you can see on the left-hand side under ImageSilo, under Home, it says Projects. Projects are just a collection of documents. So all of those rectangles across there, AP invoices, credit memos, customer POs, etc., those are all projects in ImageSilo. And while a collection of documents can be anything, they tend to be, by document type, just because that's something that ties them all together. But really, it could be any collection of documents for any reason that you would want to put together. Up in the black bar on the right-hand side, you'll see a quick search. And as this is the landing page when you log in, you can search just that quickly, right? You log in and you can immediately put something in that search bar and search across all these projects. To the right of that is your signed in user and your entity ID, and then a help button. I do want to say a little something about the help button. It's really fantastic, and it's going to follow you everywhere you go in ImageSilo. There are two options when you click that help button. The top option will say, I think it says help topics. And when you click that, it will open the manual on the exact page that discusses the page you are on in the repository. That's really helpful. So if you're having problems on the homepage, doing what you want to do next, that help topic will open up right to the page in the manual that discusses the homepage and what you can do there. There's also underneath help topics, there's something that says manual. That'll take you directly to the manual where you can search for whatever it is you want to do and find out how to do it. Before we get into it, I do want to talk about the standout features in ImageSilo. And I think one of our best features is the unlimited license structure. Whether you have 50 users, 150 users, or 500 users, you don't have to pay extra for each one of them to be able to log in and use ImageSilo. And that is really, if you've used other repositories, that's really something that makes ImageSilo stand out. Being able to get a unique login for each of your users is a super important thing. The permission-based user access. So everything in ImageSilo, whether it's access to one of those projects I talked about, or whether it's being able to do something like edit or delete. All of that is permissions based. So you can tailor what your users are able to do. Um, for example, if you have a repository that has a project for HR and one for warehouse, you probably don't want your HR people to look at warehouse documents. They're probably not interested in warehouse documents. And you probably don't want your warehouse users to get into the HR documents. That just sort of goes without saying, right? Nobody would want that. Um, and you can tailor that access. You can have one repository with both of those projects, and HR employees are never going to be able to see anything in the warehouse. And warehouse employees are never going to be able to see anything in the HR project. Likewise, you have different levels, right? Sometimes you want a user to just be able to view, and viewing is a very, very powerful thing, right? I mean, that's why you have the repository. You want to be able to get in there and view documents. That is the most important thing you're going to do in the repository. But you may also want someone to be able to uh, edit the index values or delete documents that are no longer of use. So, permissions are set for individual users to do those things. And I think that that's a really terrific thing about ImageSilo that makes the repository, makes it possible to put HR and warehouse in one repository instead of having to have two separate repositories. Browser-based viewer with a local client. So you when you are given your credentials to log into ImageSilo, you can use any browser that you wish. I typically use Chrome, but you can use any browser you wish, and you don't have to install any viewer. You can immediately log in and begin viewing documents in the browser without a viewer installed. We do also have a local client viewer that can be installed, but you don't have to have that. So really, if you're a view user, the browser base is probably all you're ever going to need, and it makes it really easy and really quick to get started. Documents stored in native file format. That's really cool because we can store your documents, your Word documents, your Excel files, PDFs, TIFFs. They're going to be stored in their native form, and if you want to download them, they will come to you in their native form. The client viewer, now this is not the browser-based one, but the install one, the client viewer, can open 270 file types natively. That's quite a lot. But take PowerPoint or Visio, anything like that. It can open those and you can view them. So the global search bar, that was up at the top on the left-hand side. Sorry, right-hand side. And in the last slide I showed you, and I'll show you how that works. That's really pretty cool. Records management and retention scheduling. This is a very important thing that ImageSilo does for you. You can apply and remove destruction dates. You can apply and remove retention locks to your documents. A retention lock would keep any other user with the proper permissions from being able to delete your document. But removing things from the repository can be just as important as putting things in. When your repository is new, you're only thinking about things you can add to it. But after a while, you realize that sometimes you don't want to keep things forever. And in that case, you want the ability to be able to schedule destruction. And you can do that with ImageSilo. Enhanced Microsoft integration and print to PDF. Sometimes it seems like it's a Microsoft world and we just live in it. But I think you want that integration with Microsoft Office because so many of us use Microsoft Office, right? And print to PDF, if your documents are saved in the repository as TIFFs, and they often are. You can print a PDF, so you can, get them out of the repository as a PDF to be saved to your desktop or wherever you like. Version control. We have a check-in and check-out. Um, this is pretty important because it allows you to say you have a PDF, the PDF image that you have stored in the repository. You can check out that document. You can on your desktop use Adobe or whatever PDF software you like. You can make changes to the document and you can check it back in. That the system retains all the memory of your document. You could later roll back to the original and forget the changes that you made. Um, and also very important with that is that the audit trail follows that. So you're checking out a document, making changes to it, all of that is tracked in the system. So you you can follow what's happening to a document if you need to. You can follow what a user is doing to a document if you need to. And the last is integrated desktop scanning there. I know a lot of you use VRC and Vital ECM to scan your documents for you and upload them to ImageSilo for you, but sometimes there's a one-off that you want to add, right? And it's nice to be able to scan that right on your desktop and add it in. And this is something you can definitely do with ImageSilo. What's new in ImageSilo? Now, when I say what's new here, these things are probably new in the last 2 to 3 years. They're not brand new. I'm unveiling them to you right now. They're not new in that sense, but they're newer things that have more recently in the last couple of years been added. Um, Integrated multi-factor authentication. So um, I really feel like this enhanced form of security is really becoming a standard. And I think a lot of us are familiar with this where we have a authenticator app like Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator. And you open the app and you get a code and you enter the code at the time you log in. Um, Single sign-on. People love single sign-on. I really think they do. Um, Simply put, it's a way for web apps like ImageSilo to verify your identity without asking for passwords multiple times. Um, you do need to have, they use SAML and supported IDP, that's identity provider. Um, something Identity provider would be something like Microsoft Active Directory or Azure, something like that. But we can help you with this if you'd like to get this set up for your company. It's definitely something that can be done in ImageSilo. New administrator account types. This is a really cool thing that they've added. It used to be that we just had system administrators who, could see everything and do everything. Well, now Digitech has given us new administer account types, a limited system admin and a project admin. So obviously the project admin would be over just a particular project, right? Maybe AP documents, we need someone to administer those and be able to do everything from view, edit, delete. Um, we can have an administrator for just that particular project. We can also have limited administrators who, while they're able to, for example, set up new users and set up new user access, maybe they can't actually view any documents, right? So that could be really useful in, yeah, for example, if you had a repository with HR documents, you might want your administrator to be somebody from the IT department who can, add users and that sort of thing, but they can't necessarily view any of the documents in the repository. So those are some new things that I think are really useful, and it's nice to see that Digitech continues to add things in to ImageSilo. Okay, first we're going to talk about getting into the demo portion. We're going to talk about authenticating and search. So authenticating. Access to ImageSilo is via the internet and via any browser. You probably recognize that login address. This is what the login screen looks like. You may very well be very familiar with this as well. And I want to talk a minute about the entity ID. When you first get your ImageSilo repository, you're given an entity ID, a URL to get there, an entity ID, a username, and a password. And what you find is that you use the URL, you come to this page, you put in your entity ID, your username, and your password rather, and you log in. And then the next day, when you go to log in again, you go to the URL and you'll see that the entity ID is already filled in for you. Most browsers cache that information and it'll be right there for you, which is great, right? You don't have to type it in every day. You just have to put in your username and your password. So then time goes by and you get a new computer, or you clean your cookies, or you decide to give up on Chrome and you're going to use Edge from now on. Well, when you change that browser, your entity ID is no longer cached, right? When you get that new computer, no longer cached. So you need to fill that in. And I get lots and lots of phone calls of people that don't remember what their entity ID is. But that entity ID uniquely identifies your database among all the other ImageSilo databases. So while I don't want you to put your password on a sticky note and hang it off of your monitor, I want you to take your entity ID, put it on a sticky note, and hang it off your monitor. You're not going to need it today, but you're going to need it someday, and it could be someday soon. Okay, so under the entity IDs, your username, then a password, your source IP. I want to mention that that is your particular IP, where you're coming from. And that also goes back to audit trails, right? As I said before, you can audit any document, any user in ImageSilo, and that is one of the data points that the audit trail keeps track of, the IP where the user is coming from to access that document. Language. The drop down here, if you've ever looked at it, there are oodles of languages there. So if your company employs non-English speakers, or just people who prefer other languages, it's there, it's available for you, and that's really nice to have. And then the last thing is the multi-factor authentication code. That won't be needed unless your administrator has set up your repository to use it. But if you do have to use it, you just open the app on your phone, you get the code, you fill the code in here before you click log on, and you're all set to go. Okay, in our searching demonstration, we're going to create a new search. I'm going to show you wildcard searches and sorting columns, and I want to talk about the global search and the full text search. This picture over here, ImageSilo on top, then home, then projects, you'll see that the AP invoices is that rectangle is highlighted, and all the things you can do there, there's little icons for. So that first icon is a magnifying glass, that's for search. And the next icon is uploading to the cloud, so that would be adding a document. The next one is a scanner, so that is for scanning documents in. The next one is a folder, and the star after that is for favorites. You can take any documents and put them in your own folders or make them your own favorite documents. If there's something you're getting into the repository like every other day to look up, you may as well go ahead and make it a favorite document so it's easier to find for you. But I do want to tell you that folders and favorites can only be seen on your desktop. When When your coworkers log into the repository to look at the same documents, they won't see your folders or your favorites. They will see their folders and their favorites. And then index fields. So every project has unique index fields based on whatever you thought was important when we started scanning your documents or when we set up the project for you. And these fields, these values that are in these fields, these are the ways that we search in ImageSilo. I do want to mention to you before I pull over my screen here and show you a few demos that there is a mobile app available if you did not know. The Apple App Store and the Android Play Store both have the app available. It is free of charge. You can see that it looks very much like this is the homepage of the mobile app, and it looks very much like the homepage of ImageSilo. So, everything I'm showing you here, you can pretty much do on the app. Okay. Let's take a look here. So here I am. I'm logged in at the URL. I've got my entity ID in here. This is my demo database. My name is in here, and I'm going to put my password in. Okay. So here we are on the homepage, and it looks very much like the picture I showed you. We have each of these projects, right? All right, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to, you need to be kind of careful where you search, where you click in this box. If I click over here, I'm not gonna, this is where favorite documents go, is over here, by the way, but um, you want to hover over the magnifying glass to get to the search. So make sure you're careful about where you hover. This is my demo documents repository, and I have 3 index fields here, a name, a number, and a date. I am going to search on number 56. And I'll just press the search button down here, and it opens up into, now I have several hits here. And the reason I have several hits here is I put in the number 56. And if you look at these numbers, they all end in 56. So that's why all of these particular documents have come up. When you are searching in ImageSilo, there is a unspoken, I guess is the way I might put it, wildcard at the beginning and the end. So I would also have gotten a hit if this number were 73562. I probably should have put one in that way to show you that. Sorry about that. But at any rate, the point is that you don't need the full value. If you don't have the full value, put in there what you have, and you'll get a hit list much like this one. I want to go back to search here for a moment. If I clear my criteria and just leave all of these fields blank and search, I will get everything that's in this particular project. And that is sometimes very useful if your repository is new and you are just in the process of adding documents to it. When your repository gets too large, this becomes a little bit unwieldy to use. But I want to point out to you that these columns can be sorted ascending and descending. So even if this is, even if you didn't do a wide open search, but your hit list is this kind of large, it might be useful to sort the columns in different ways to find what you're looking for quicker. Okay. I want to talk about the global search up here. So if I just came in and actually, it really doesn't matter where I am in the repository. You can always use this search. But this search is set up right now to search all the projects, as you can see. And if I put a value in here, it brings up, in this case, 5001 is the end of the sales order number. This is in the customer PO repository. And since I looked everywhere, I got one from everywhere. Well, I got the only one that's in this repository right now. I also want to show you that we can change. Typically, this quick search is on index fields, as you just saw, but I could change it to full text. Now, not every repository, this will not work in every repository. I will tell you, you need to have had your document scanned, OCR'd for full text, and uploaded for this to be able to work. However, we have lots of customers who do that. So I know there's some of you out there. And this is something that if you're interested in, we could always set up for you. But let me show you this. So I'm going to search for Gmail. Okay. Then a document came up from the document or demo document project. And this document is called Native Docs. It's got a number, it's got a date. That's just because those fields are in that repository. And if I click this, I get the document. And if I go up here, full text results, this is telling me which page the word or phrase that I chose to search is on and the context. So I can use the buttons up at the top to move through the pages, get to page 11, and find where Gmail is listed several times in several different contexts. And I can even click one of these and bring up that page. Okay. Okay, viewing and uploading. ImageSilo Client Viewer. What is the ImageSilo Client Viewer? So the client viewer is a Windows-based application that supports scanning. It supports batch operations from document lists like printing, email, save, scan. It allows you to add and edit annotations, save and convert files to other formats. What I've shown you so far is in the browser viewer, and particularly Chrome. This is the way things look when you use the browser, and particularly when you're using Chrome. It's not very different when you use Edge, and I haven't used anything else recently that I could tell you about. But if you're interested in the ImageSilo client viewer, and you might be, because every functionality in the browser viewer exists in the client, and sometimes it's a little bit more detailed in the client viewer. I will show you how you go to your name and repository. You click the drop down there, and you need to go to downloads to download it on your computer. And then once you do, you're going to go to user options to change which browser you're using. I'll show you how you do that. Adding documents to ImageSilo. Again, I know a lot of you send your documents to be scanned to Vital ECM, and we do it for you and we upload it for you. But there is always the chance you may want to add something on your own. And there are 6 different ways to add to ImageSilo. You can do an import via the browser-based viewer. There's just a button on your page that will do that. You can drag and drop with the ImageSilo client viewer that I just told you about. You can do it through Microsoft Office. That requires a tool installation that you find in the same place the other download for the ImageSilo client viewer is. I'll show you that as well. ImageSilo client viewer allows for scanning. You can do a bulk upload via a folder monitor job. Now, the folder monitor is a separate application. It is free, but you need to work with us to get that folder monitor job. And you may need us to do a little setting up for you to get it to work, but we can help you with that. And if you have documents, in a file server or somewhere on your network that you just want to get up into ImageSilos so that they're easy for your users to find, and they have more of an audit trail. They have the security of being an ImageSilo. The folder monitor is a good way to do that. And then you can also check out. We talked about check out and check in a little earlier, and you can change an existing document or add to an existing document. If you wanted to add a page to a document that already exists, you can do that with the checkout feature. So let's see what I can show you here. Okay. So we talked about the downloads, and here is where the ImageSilo client is. It's the first one here on the list. Tools is down closer to the bottom. Tools is right here. It's 1, 2, 3 from the bottom. But if you're interested in the viewer, you need to download and install this. If you're interested in being able to upload right from your desktop, you want to download and install the tools. Once you have downloaded them, you want to come here beside your name at the drop down, and you want to come to user options. And you want to come down to document viewing, and you want to change from the browser-based viewer to the ImageSilo viewer. And it's just that simple. I mean, once you have it downloaded and installed, whether or not you use it is all in the option that you choose here. So again, that's downloads at the bottom and options closer to the top. Okay, let me. Okay, I'm going to double click on this, and this is going to open this time in the client viewer. So you see it looks a little bit different. It's very clean looking, but it looks a little bit different than the browser-based viewer. You have a lot of the stuff in the browser-based viewer here on the home, save, scan. Well, scan is in, no, scan is in the other one. Print, email, all these things. On the edit tab, you have your checkout and various things. I want to come back here and show you, if I search for Gmail again, as a global search and as a full text search. I want to show you how this looks a little different when you open it in the client viewer. Okay. I want to come here to see the full text results. And this is what pops up. You'll recognize, well, I think you will. I talked about page 11. So Gmail shows up on page 11 and all the places that it shows up. So again, this works very much like the browser viewer, but it's just a little, I don't know, it's just a little different. You can control F here. Oh, sorry, I have to be over here. Document text. So in this one, you have your Gmail highlighted, which is, it's a small difference, but it's kind of a nice difference, right? It helps you find exactly where Gmail is in this document. Okay. Now let's see. Now let's talk about adding some documents. So let me close this for a minute and go back here. I suppose I keep taking you to the same place, but all right. So if I wanted to add a document to the repository, you can see the upload is right here on the menu. You can also see a place to scan. And that's fine. That works. You can do that. But one thing I like to do if I'm going to add a document is if I know I have a new document to add for Grace Stewart, I like to I like to find her in the repository and highlight this before I click the upload. And I'll show you why. Because her index fields are filled out. Now, maybe the date is different in the document I want to upload, right? I mean, maybe I want today's document or today's date in there. Is today the 7th or the 8th? It's the 8th. Uh, but I wanted to add it for Grace Stewart, and her number is probably always the same. So it makes adding those index values just a little bit easier, especially when there's a lot of them. It's really not too hard when there's only 3 of them, I realize. But if you've got 5 or more index values for a particular document, you really appreciate this. And then you just click here and you can pick your file from your desktop and then you save. So that's a pretty easy and probably my favorite way to add a document. I do have another favorite way to add a document, and I think you'll like this. This is what you can do when you download the tools. So you'll get this icon on your desktop, saved to ImageSilo, and you just have to take your document and hover it over here, just drag and drop. That's all you have to do. This window will come up if you're not already signed in, and I guess something changed. Takes just a minute here, but I'll get another pop-up. Oops. There's my, whoa, come back. Sorry about that. Let me try and do it again.
There's to the right of the box. There
Yeah,
you go.
I see it. I think it's on here twice, as a matter
It's
of
kind of
fact.
duplicated, so it's hard to see.
It did. I'm
Thanks.
sorry about that. I wish I had a better background for you to see this, but this is the box that pops up. Thank you, Mark. And all you have to do is fill in your index values here. If you're putting it in one of your setup folders, you can add that here. You can tell it to delete the local copy or not. And then you just save your document this way. That's really another one of my favorite ways to add documents. I think that that's really pretty fantastic, as a matter of fact. Um, I may have lost my repository. Ah, no, here we go. Okay. There's one more thing I want to show you here, and that is checkout. So I'm going to cancel that because I'm not going to add anything there. Um, let's go right here. Okay. So we have opened a document, and now we want to check it out. Um, you can do this in the browser-based version, but of course I'm in the client version right now, and I'm going to click the checkout. And this says it's been, as you can see, this image-based document has been checked out onto this computer. Any changes made will not affect the retrievable document until your changes are checked back in. You can access this document to make additional changes prior to checking it in by simply retrieving the document on this computer. So I'm going to say OK. Now, I'm not sure exactly what this document, I'm not sure if it's a PDF or what it is. But if it is a PDF and I could take it, open it on my computer using Adobe or Nitro or whatever PDF software I have, and I could make changes to it. I could add pages to it. I could do all sorts of things. And if I wanted to save those changes, I can then check it back in. And I will have, assuming this is the first change I made, I'll have two versions of this document, or perhaps more if I've made changes in the past, or other users of the repository have made changes in the past. While the document is checked out, other people can look at it in the repository. They can bring it up and view it, but they can't check it out and make changes to it. When you check it out, you have it tied up. So if you're not going to make any changes to it, you'll want to undo that checkout at your first opportunity to do so. And I'm going to undo the checkout because I don't want to make any changes. Okay. All righty. Now we're going to talk about edits and output. All right, so editing in ImageSilo, and when I'm talking about editing, I'm talking about editing index values. Those things that you use to look up the document, if one of those values isn't correct, then trying to search for the document on that value isn't going to be very helpful. So there are some times when you need to make changes to those values. And as long as you have permission to do so, because remember, everything in ImageSilo is permission based. What you're allowed to see and what you're allowed to do is all permission based. But if you have edit permission, um, in the browser-based viewer, you can come to this little edit icon, once you have a hit list and something highlighted, or you even have one pulled up, you come to this edit icon and this window will pop up showing you all of the index values in these boxes. And you can simply click in these boxes and change those values to anything you want and click update, and that will save them. And then the next person who wants to search for this invoice number, maybe it wasn't 121212, maybe it was 212121, right? And after you change it, anyone searching for 212121 is going to find it. Actually, if you were searching for 21, you probably would find this too, right? Because we know that those wildcard searches are at the beginning and at the end. So if I just put in 21, I would find this document. Um, There is an edit tab in the ImageSilo viewer. I'm going to show you that. But when you pull those documents up in the ImageSilo viewer, you can click right into the index fields that are on the left-hand side of the page and make changes. Annotations. Annotations and redactions are really powerful things. Very simply, it's just an overlay on your image, but you can add them. You can add notations, to leave notes for coworkers, to make comments on the document. Redactions obscure certain content. And so that's kind of neat that you can do that. I'm going to show you how to do that. And ImageSilo supports digital signatures. I suppose there might be a lot of reasons why you might want to have a signature on a document. Maybe it's simply to signify it's been reviewed or signify it's been approved. Um, but I think that I think it's pretty cool that ImageSilo does this. So we're going to show that. And then when it comes to output, and when I talk about output, I'm talking about getting your documents out of ImageSilo. It's great to have them in the repository so you can view them when you want, but what if you need it for something? What if you need it out? You can save a copy or export. You can print. And when you print, you can include or not the annotations and redactions that you've made. You can email, which is really simple, and you can share. Again, all permission-based things, but all pretty powerful things. Share in particular, it lets a user who is outside your network or your company access the document through a URL. And what's great about that is that the document security is fully protected during that transmission process. And the document is still in the audit trail. So later, if you're looking at the audit trail for that document, you can see where it's been shared and who it's been shared with. Um, and that's a pretty cool and powerful thing too. Okay. So let me bring this over and show you these things I promised to. Uh, let's bring Grace up here and you've seen it several times now, but the indexing is here on the left-hand side. And all I have to do is click in here and I can change the image, the values here to something else entirely. And once I click out of it, that's saved. Annotations. So, oops, not view. It's home, I guess. Okay. Here we go. Annotations, show and hide. So I'm going to, there we go. There we go. I want to be able to see these things here, right? So if I want to add an annotation, I would click here and add a little box. And I can type in that box. Matthews is the best. I don't know whether that's true or not because I don't know Matthews, but I don't know. Maybe that's what I want to put on here, right? Or maybe I want to, I mean, this would be probably a much more important document than just a ad for Matthew's tree service, right? But if I wanted to redact, I could go to this one here and I could take out, and then if I want to download this or I want to email it to somebody, I can choose whether or not these things show up in the document, whether Matthews is the best shows up and whether this paragraph is removed and covered. You can also just so you know, I think it's kind of cool. You can also change to all white if you want. And if I change the border color as well, you can see I haven't here, but if I change the border color as well, you wouldn't even know that there was other wording there. It's been described to me as kind of sneaky, but it's not necessary. I mean, sometimes you need to share a document with somebody, but you don't necessarily need to share everything on that document, right? So that would be the way you do that. Those are fun. I really like using those. Okay. See what else I can show you here. Hmm. Just checking my notes quickly to remind me what I told you I'd show you. um, I thought I saw it a minute ago. Share. Here we go. Here we go. So if I want to share this document, I simply click the share document. You will find this on the browser version too, so you can do it either place. You give it an expiration date, and there's a calendar here with times as well, right? So you can decide how long you share it for. If you were going to provide this document to a client, for example, you might want to give them a week to review it, or maybe in some cases you only want to give them 24 hours. Maybe you want to give them a whole month to review it. But the important thing is that you set the amount of time. You decide how long it is that they get access to this document. So you set that, you set a password, whatever you want the password to be. You'll have to remember what you make it. And you maybe want to make it, more difficult than that. And you say, okay. Okay. Now this is asking if you want to share the document. It shows you your expiration and it shows you your password. You say yes. And then it creates a link to a URL for that document. You copy this to your clipboard. You go to your email, you open your email, you paste in what you've copied from the clipboard, and you can email that to whoever you like. And if you give that same person the password, they will be able to access just that document at the URL you have provided for the specified amount of time. If they try to go to the URL after the time has expired, the document won't be there for them to view. They won't be able to do it. So that's a pretty fun thing. And it's also something pretty standard. I know that a lot of our repository users who have like shipping documents and stuff, they send those a lot to their customers. And not only can you do what I just showed you there. Oh, I'm closing this and it's asking me if I want to save those index values I changed. I'm not going to. You could come in here and you could choose several documents using your shift, your shift or your control if you wanted to. You could do something like that. And you could share all of these documents at once, right? So while you probably wouldn't want to share what I have saved here, it's possible that you might want to share all of Grace's with somebody, right? That's a scenario that you might want to do. And so you can highlight all these and you can share them right from here. And that could be either viewer. It doesn't really matter which viewer you're using. Okay. I suppose I could keep talking on and on and on, and I just might if somebody does not stop me now. Are there questions? So let me get back to, I can't see the questions now. I hope Mark did a good job with them, but I'll bet he did.
I think we answered most of them. There
Did
may
we?
be some out there. I think so.
Okay.
I'll go back through the list to make sure.
Well, yeah, we'll check them and make sure that if you've asked a question, we get you an answer to it. I want to thank you so much for your time and paying attention to me ramble on about ImageSilo. Um, we hope that you enjoyed this, and we do have future ideas for other webinars that we could do, possibly by me, but possibly by someone else. So if you didn't enjoy this, come back anyway. Um, in ImageSilo, we can set up multi-step workflows. There are e-forms, APIs. If you have a dedicated development team, you can take advantage of APIs for development they want to do and integrate into ImageSilo. And then there is greater integration into Microsoft Office. Some new products that Digitech Tech has that integrate even deeper into Microsoft Office that I think would be interesting uh, to our customers. So thank you. Thank you very much for your time. We greatly appreciate it. And again, we'll be checking those questions and make sure that answers go out to anybody who has one. And if you didn't ask a question and you later think of one you want to know about, please feel free to get in touch with us. We're happy to answer any questions we can. Hannah, Mark, is there anything else you would like addressed before we go?
I don't think so. I think we'll follow up. A couple of clients asked about some additional training for administrators. I think we're going to reach out about that.
Okay, fabulous.
And if, like Heather mentioned, if you have any other questions or you've seen any features that you need more information about, please reach out to us directly. Our support address is support@vitalecm.com. And if you send a message there that, the team members get that, we'll reach out directly with any kind of answers that I could provide. So just let us know.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
All right. Thanks, everyone.